David, just looking at, first of all, at the measurements, 7.8, then 7.5, and indeed the fact that these seem quite shallow, very near the surface, this would explain a lot of the damage to these high-rise buildings.
These are monster earthquakes. The 7.8 is probably the strongest earthquake ever to strike Turkey. There was a 7.8 in 1939, but this seems to be worse than that. A 7.5 is still a monster. On its own, it would cause massive destruction. These are, as you say, are shallow earthquakes, and that means a lot of the energy doesn't go down into the earth, it goes up. These are strike-slip earthquakes, they're so-called, because they're a result of a build-up of tension in the tectonic plates, which are pushing against each other in this very active region. And the tension and the pressure builds up, and then it suddenly cracks, it suddenly slips and releases all this energy, fairly shallow, gets to the surface, makes a complete mess of what's above it. I mean, this is absolutely terrible, because not only are these earthquakes powerful, but as you said, the second one occurred a few hours after the first one, which occurred at the worst possible time in the middle of the night. The buildings which didn't come down, which have been damaged and made unsafe, would come down with the second earthquake, along with ruptured water mains, ruptured gas supplies, ruptured pipelines, ruptured electricity supplies, which is often isn't very easy to switch off. So this is a major natural catastrophe, the like of which few nations have ever seen.
Yeah, and the latest report suggests the tremors were felt as far away as Greenland. I mean, obviously the fault line and as you say, the tectonic plates are known about, but was there any forewarning in terms of activity starting to build up on the various monitoring devices?
Well, yes, these earthquakes can be detected all around the world. Our earthquake detection facilities are very sensitive, but on the ground this was felt hundreds of miles away. And yes, Turkey is a tectonic hotspot, an earthquake hotspot. It frequently has earthquakes. It lost 10,000 lives, I think, in 1999 in the Izmit earthquake. So they are experienced, they are well aware of the problem they face. But the problem with precursors is that you have frequent earthquakes, and it's not possible to see if they're leading to something. Right. Until you get the big one, and then you look back and you say, oh, that was the case. The prediction of earthquakes is not possible at the moment. You just have to be well prepared, and the Turks are well prepared for this. They have an efficient, well-organized system, but as you can see from the pictures there, when the system faces something like that, they need all the help they can get.
Yeah, and it does appear that, some buildings have survived and others literally have just pancaked. Many of these concrete buildings, so huge slabs of flooring and walls going down, trapping people. I mean, presumably they've got some kind of standard they have to be built to in a known earthquake area, or is it literally that perhaps some areas have just had more shaking going on the surface?
Well, yes, the earthquake will have local effects, although it's spread out over wide areas. Some regions will actually be worse than others due to local geological conditions. But having said that, although there are governmental diktats as to how you build buildings and regulation standards, first of all, not everybody applies to those. And secondly, the standards have changed over the years, so older buildings are not as safe as modern buildings. And if, as we've seen in some pictures of flats coming down, it's the older building which brings the newer building standing next door down with it. So it is a complete mess. But with an earthquake of 7.6 and 7.5 or 7.8, it's hard to convey. These are monster earthquakes. Yeah, there are few cities in the world which would survive, which would not be very severely damaged by an earthquake of this magnitude.
Yeah, with the best design and the best will, indeed.